What's up again, everybody? Grand Archive is hosting their largest tournament yet, the Ascent Houston event this weekend, and so let's ring in the occasion and celebrate a little bit with, well, a Grand Archive box opening and some conversation about the game. Now, this was all sent over to me by Weebs of the Shore. Yes, that is the name of the company that makes Grand Archive, and I think it's hilarious. There's a beautiful deck box they sent me. So thank you and a huge shout out to them for sending this on over. This is the deck box that they have available that you can pick up. But these right here are what we're going to be taking a look at, specifically this one. And if we have time, we'll also toss this in. But essentially what we're looking at here is the second set. And we're going to talk about the game itself, where it sits from my perspective, and how this weekend's event can go a long way to carrying the game forward. So, the game of Grand Archive burst onto the scene not too terribly long ago and sort of took everybody by storm in a certain respect. This was, I don't know, what is 6 months ago? No, less than 6. It's like 4 months ago, something to that effect. And people were ravenous for it. It was quite popular right out of the gate, and people tried to get their hands on it and bought up everything that they possibly had access to. Even the starter sets. Does this tear? Does it tear? Well, not well. Even the starter sets were hard to come by at times, which is technically a good sign. I mean, when people are buying up your starter products so that they can learn how to play the game and not just, stonksing your game to the moon, if you will, by trying to buy it and flip it, that's a good sign for what your game is sort of proposing in its first set. All right, let's take a look at some of these cards. First of all, if you haven't seen the back of the Grand Archive card, pretty cool back. It's a very, very cool back. I like it a lot. I think it's got a lot of decoration. And is crenellation the right word? Is that the right word as we try to get that focus? Can I say crenellation? Is that the word? I feel like that describes the sides of buildings. In any case, Grand Archive burst onto the scene, and people were, ecstatic with just the overall vibe of the game, how it looked, how it played. Yes, there's always people that aren't huge and big into the anime theme, but it was and it is exactly what it wants to be, an anime trading card game with its own fantasy twist and IP. And for what it's worth, I thought it had a really cool hook and some really cool gameplay beats itself. And people all agreed with me and picked it up and started playing with it and playing it and trying to run with it. And, ooh, Avatar of Gaia. Beautiful little card right there. A rare. As you can see down here at the bottom, it says R. And these cards feel thick. They feel good. It's been a minute since I've held Grand Archive cards. Part of the reason that is the case is because it still was quite hard overall to get your hands on product while I was trying to build decks and that sort of thing. But that had since leveled out to some degree. I know the game store around my area, ooh, this one tore far better, was able to, get their hands on more product and kind of start hosting some small events. And from what I've heard in my area, it draws a consistent, if not small, crowd. But again, it's important to understand that when you are looking at trading card games in a lot of respects and just across the board, that is a beautiful looking card, really very much are regional in nature. You can have very big regional pockets of popular games and then pockets of what is essentially a drought. That is a cool looking card. Man, I'll tell you what, I like the aesthetic of this. I love the aesthetic of this game. I think it's beautiful. I think it looks really cool. And woo, hello there. This is a super rare. Incarnate Majesty. That is a cool looking card. Yeah, the aesthetic really sold me on this game. And several of the sort of twist mechanics also really sold me. But getting back to the story and where the game is currently sitting and kind of how we got there, it was a bit of a buzzkill, to say the least, not being able to get your hands on product readily and quickly. And that is essentially just we didn't estimate the demand correctly when printing out our set and kind of printing out our our game, and so they adjusted with the set that we're looking at right now. But they did a couple of other things with the set. So in this set, there are some really big, wow, that is awesome looking. Some big hit rarities that you can access. Innervate Knowledge. Very cool. And those, like signed cards, they're really fancy. They look incredible. I think they're really amazing looking, and they're definitely like those prized possession cards. And those cards fetch a high price. They are definitely a premium type collectible, which is very cool that exists in a game that, a game that is only 2 sets old up to this point. And of course, you can play, smaller versions, like less fancy versions of those cards, so you're not sort of missing out on that respect. But they changed the rarity drop of those, how quickly and like how often you can find those within a case. And it really did a number, from what I've been told and from what I've looked at. It did a number on the box prices of this set. People started to basically just rare chase those cards and then sell off the rest of the case when they found what they were looking for, so that they could kind of max out those profits, which ends up doing some crazy things to an overall marketplace and the health of the marketplace. And it's really interesting to consider how the health of a card game can oftentimes be reflected in the resale. There's another super rare. Wow, Voltaic Sphere. It's an arcane spell. A mage spell, as you can see here, deals 3 damage to target unit. If that unit is an ally, deals 5 damage instead. You can banish one of these from the graveyard. The next arcane element spell card you activate costs 1 less to activate. That's very cool. The ramifications of either not being able to get product, or having too much product flood the market, or people sort of chasing the price to the bottom, can have some ramifications on the overall not accessibility, the reticence for a game store to carry your game is the big thing to say. So game stores, if they're inundated with product that all of a sudden is tanking in value, are basically left holding the bag if that product drops hugely in value. Look how beautiful that card is. And that's kind of what was a ultra rare Quicksilver Grail Divine Relic. You can only have one card with this keyword in your material deck. Banish a non-champion card from your material deck face down. You may play the banished card. That is cool. That is a really cool card. That is a beautiful looking card as well. That was one thing I really did like about this game as well. The idea of having like this equipment sideboard that you tap into to do different things, and to have different pieces of equipment or items waiting in the wings that you can access. I think that's very cool. And so with the change in the way that they were printing these fancy print run cards, the overall market started tanking for this product, and they made a really cool, really interesting kind of announcement, I guess is the best way to say it, and sort of tactic to combat this. And that is, at this Ascent Houston tournament, they are having like collection trade-ins. From what I've been told, and from what I was talking to an associate of a game store recently that I was at, and he and his friends are actually traveling down for that event this weekend. And he was saying that essentially, if you have a bunch of the like cards and the oh, that's a beautiful looking card. Look how nice that looks. If you have like a bunch of this set, if you have like a full play set, you can turn it in for a play set of like promo cards and like kind of higher end like cards, which I think is a really interesting way, because all of a sudden it makes those cards that were essentially useless, and like these higher rarity cards that are like $1 and $2, which can be great, but doesn't drive the product off the shelves. It's like if someone's just going to buy singles and you're a store that's not opening, wow, look at that. Dawn of Ashes. Hey, it's almost like that should be the name of a set. As I drop the card, chuck it across the room on accident. That is cool looking. Dawn of Ashes, the name of the first set. If your product can't fly off the shelves at a game store because there's a race to the bottom on the internet, and because people just want to buy singles because they're so cheap, then it makes it hard for local game stores to want to support your product and to want to put it on their shelves, because they're going to get burned by it by paying, you know, like 5 figures in product to try and get. There's that beautiful foil. I think I've missed a couple of foils, but that maybe I haven't. Maybe that's the first foil. Look at that. It's very fancy. The lighting that I have right now is great for camera, but it makes it hard for me to see, which is kind of funny. Kind of funny how that functions. And so by making this announcement wherein they say, if you have a playset of this and you turn it in, you can redeem it for X prize. All of a sudden, the random cards in the set that were like $1 or $2 can start all of a sudden being super necessary to fill out a set, so that you can take that set and then turn it in and then get those promo cards. So it sort of turned the market on its head a little bit, wherein people now are incentivized to open boxes to some degree so that they can complete a set, so that they can take that set and turn it in, and it can then be used to basically transform. Wow, that's a beautiful card. Basically, be used to transform into shock therapy. That's unfortunate for that guy. Into these promos, which I think is really smart. And that's probably not the first game. Tell me in a comment below. I don't believe this is the first game to do an idea like that, to execute on an idea like that. And I've heard possibilities for that to, you know, be kicked around in other card games before. But I think it's a smart way to sort of react to the fundamental problem that your game needs staying power, especially in a competitive market. Beautiful Cloak of Stillwater. And in order to maintain that place in the market and foothold in local game stores, you have to get product to move off the shelves. This is true of every single game store. Getting product to move off the shelves is how you're able to create longevity in your space. You need the buy-in from the LGSs, not only running events, but also just buying your product and selling it. Like, look at how Pokemon functions. Pokemon does not necessarily function through an organized play program at your local game store. There are far fewer local game stores running organized play than are selling Pokemon. Like, when you really sit down to think about it, they are not living and breathing and dying off of their ability to run events. They are doing so off of the back of, you know, collectibles and this amazing, well, that is really cool looking. This amazing IP, right? But not every game can pull that off. And in fact, many games can't. And in many cases, you do have to live and die by moving product off the shelves and also having people play in your LGS so that people are continually coming in for that game. Value is provided because of your game. And then local game stores, whoa, look at that. Oh my God, that's a super rare foil. Whoa, that is really cool looking. You know, green was never something that I was super into with the first set. That is a beautiful looking card. Oh, you can do some enlightened counters. So it ends up just turning everything on its head a little bit by encouraging the player base, or even just the collector base, to go out and buy more product, get it off the shelves, and try to stabilize the market rate for your boxes. It's still, I guess the jury's still out on whether or not it's going to happen for this product. But as the game continues, we will see if they make changes to their drop rates on their fancy cards. Wow, look at that one. That is really cool looking. Lancelot, Goliath of Asa. A little whitening on that card. Kind of unfortunate. Man, I will say this. The subtle, like, texture difference on this back really does feel kind of nice. Hindered, this ally enters the field rested. Pay 3 if you do Lancelot, gets +3 until the end of the turn. It's kind of fun. Gets a buff. So it'll be interesting to see how they change their big rare drops. Now, I know in previous sort of like box openings that were passed on from the Weebs of the Shore company to other content creators, they mentioned how those boxes were sort of seeded to show off some of the different aspects of the set and some of those higher rarity cards. This, I was told, was not seeded. This was just a straight up box. Zephyr's Edge. Very cool. And you have a Staff of Zephyr. Now you have Zephyr's Edge, a rare. And this would be more akin and more true to form of what you would get off of the shelf. And looking at box prices before this on something like a TCG player, where it's basically just a free open market, and people can race to the bottom or push things to the moon and try to sell it at that. You do see the box prices lower than the original set, the first set, which was, wow, look at that. There's another foil, beautiful foil on that one. But the question is, do we see that tick up over the next few days and weeks and into that big kind of swing? Beautiful rare Beast Soul Visage. And then how this event this weekend ends up going. It was a very quick sellout. I actually tried to purchase an entry ticket into this event maybe like 5 hours later, but it sold out in minutes, in fact, which was kind of crazy. So, but the tickets for this event this weekend popped off like, I don't know, many months ago. And so I am quite curious to see the turnout and the overall play there. I know several people personally that are going to be at that event. I also know several larger names, both my friend Kel, Red Zone Rogue, and also a couple of higher level TCG players that are going to be making the trip down there to try and play in that tournament. And so I know that there are going to be a good number of people there based on just people I've talked to, but it's going to be interesting to see how it all pans out. I don't know if they're doing coverage, but I would be interested. Oh, look at that, finishing off with a super rare Blanche, Sheltering Saint, unique cleric human ally, which is very cool, closing things out on that front. So I'm curious to see how it all pans out and see if things really stay steady or kind of pop off, or how the game continues. But I am very curious after what is a really cool way, perhaps, to try and turn the tide on some less than stellar performance on your set, how to kind of package all of this together and say, you know what, bring your extra cards and we'll swap you in. So it's a very cool way to try and tackle things. So let me know what you think about this in a comment below. Let me know what you think about this casual, just kind of laid back talk on a Grand Archive. And if you enjoyed it, make a number go slightly higher. As always, thanks for watching.